Hello everyone and welcome back to UE5 BP Guru. Today we're going to be taking a look at our updated Pokemon clone, and we're going to be starting by, as I mentioned last time, doing the Pokemon starter. So selecting our starter Pokemon. And to do this we first need to create a blueprint class, and this is going to be type actor. And we're going to call it starter Pokemon. And we'll call it underscore. We don't need to do the underscore, just do BP. And we can open this up. So in the viewport, we're going to create a collision box, like so. And I'm probably going to expand it out quite a bit. Let's say like 2. We're then going to add in, I'm just going to add in a small cube. And this is just going to act as a table, I guess. And I'm going to add one more static mesh in. And this is going to be our Pokeball. And we can set this. I have got a model for a Pokeball. Here we go. I got this for free. Oh, God, it's very big. We reduce the size down quite a bit. And we're going to just place it on the top, and we'll rotate it a little bit so it faces forward and down, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, maybe not that much, that seems quite a lot. There we go. And is it straight? I don't know if it is. That looks about right. And what we're going to do is we're just going to test this to see it, to make sure it looks good. I mean, it doesn't matter too much just for this tutorial, but you know, start off as we mean to go, right? So that looks relatively good. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, I think, and try and get it center onto the actual box. That looks pretty good to me. I'm also going to expand this out just a little bit this way. Not the actual box. Oh, because I've parented it. There we go. And not so much that way. There you go. That looks good. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we can just copy and paste each one, making sure the collision boxes don't overlap. But that looks pretty good to me. Right. Once we've designed it how we like, we can then work on the actual code itself. We don't need an event begin graph, to be honest. What we need is the collision box begin and end overlap. So click on the begin and click on the end as well, and that's what it should look like. We're going to cast to the third person character because that's the only one that should be able to interact with that at this point. And then we'll click the overact into there, and we'll set promote to variable. But what I also like to do is I change this just to TPC. You can call it TPC ref if you prefer, like that, whatever, as long as you can use that later on. Then we want to get our player controller, like so, and we want to enable an input, and we also want to disable input, like so. And the player controller should be going into the player controller, not the target. So make sure the target says self, and the player controller is your player controller. And then we're going to create a custom event, and we're going to call this roll for create a custom event. There we go, and then call it roll for info. Now, the reason we're doing this is so that we get a randomized amount of IVs, EVs, shiny, all that sort of stuff. We only want to roll it once. Otherwise, what you'll find is people will keep entering the box, X in the box, entering the box, X in the box, to get a new roll. So if they were looking for shiny hunting, you would basically make shiny hunting very easy. So what we want to do is just do a do once, like so. And that way it will only ever roll the information one time, and they won't be able to re-roll without restarting or setting up a new game, etc. And then straight after that, we want to do a branch, like so. And we're going to do a random integer within range. Oh, no, within range. Random integer in range. The first one being 1, and the last one being whatever you want your shiny odds to be. So, for example, Pokemon's is 1 in 8,000, I believe. But obviously, I'm going to have mine at 4,096. And then I'm going to make sure that it equals to 1. And if it does equal 1, we get a shiny. And then we can move on. Okay, so now we have our chance of being shiny. If it equals 1, we know that it's going to be shiny, and if it's false, it's not going to be shiny. So if we create a new variable called, we can call it isShiny, we can set these on both of this. So true goes to isShiny, and false goes to not shiny. Once we figured that out, we want to work out what our gender is. And if we plug both of those into there, we can say we can just put in a new variable called gender, and we'll get our gender enumeration, and we can set this here and here, true and false. You can have it either way, male or female, off the true or false. It doesn't really matter which way it goes around. But what we do need to do is we need to get a random integer. Random integer in the range of, we can do 100. Let's do 100, 50-50 chance. And we'll say if it's equal to or over, sorry, greater than or equal to 51, put that in there. Just make sure it flows right. So if it's equal to or greater than 51, it's male. And if it's anything less than 51, so 50 to 0, it's female. So that gives you a very slight opportunity to have a female more than a male, but either way, it's 50-50. Then what we need to do is we need to create a variable that will house all this information. And that variable is going to be Pokemon, party info. And we'll call this starter Pokemon. We'll put this in the middle here, and we're going to set members in Pokemon party info. And the members that we need to set are as follows. We will need to set its current level. We will also need to set if it is shiny or not. And we also need to set its gender. Now, the level we always get our starter is always level 5, so that's super simple. And then all we need to do is grab our two variables we made here, which is shiny and the gender, and plug those in. And that will set those basic information. And from this, we then just need to set our starter Pokemon variable here. And this will hold all the information that we need to get from it. And the last thing we need to do for this accept Ringmon BP is the actual button press. So this is, if we comment this off, we can comment this off as set information. and we'll comment this one off as set overlap. And the last thing we need to do for this overlap is just add in that function we created. Don't forget to do that. And that is the role for info. So once we overlap with one of these boxes, so let's say we overlap with Bulbasaur, it will run this information. If we overlap with Charmander, it will run that information, etc., etc. And now we just need to do the E key. So find your E key. There it is. And all we need to do is worry about the on pressed. And we need to run a for each loop with a break. And we need to do some things here now. We need to actually set some information up in our third person character to get this to work. If you go over to your third person character, open them up. And what we need to do is add in some variables. Some of the variables we've created so far. And there's only actually 3 we need to add in currently. And that is trainer Ringmon. Not Ringmon, Pokemon. I'm going to make that mistake a lot through this series. I do apologize. It's because I'm so used to making my Ringmon game. Trainer. Now we haven't set up the trainer inventory yet. So I'm not going to set up the trainer inventory just yet. I'll do that in another video when we actually get to that point. But for now, let's get our Pokemon. What did I call it? That's the question. We need to get our trainer Pokemon. And we need to get our trainer info. That's the 2 things we need. So in here, sorry. F trainer Pokemon and F trainer info. Compile and save so that we don't lose that. The only other thing we need to go in there at the minute is the inventory, but that will come down the line. So head back into here and compile that. It's erroring out because of the for each loop with break. So what we're going to do to fix that is get this trainer reference, and we're going to get our get trainer Pokemon like so. Bring that down, and then we want to break this so that we can get those arrays. And we're just going to get our trainer party and plug it in. If we compile, that error should go away now. And then what we need to do is we're looking for an empty space. So if we break this information, you can see we can get that Pokemon name. And we can untick everything else from this so that it keeps it nice and neat. There's no like random drop downs that we don't need and things like that. And what we're doing is we need to check to see if this is equal to nothing. And if that's true, we can say we don't need to do anything. If I'm going to create a new Boolean. Sorry, I'm going to create a Boolean. And I'm going to change this to has Pokemon, question mark. If all of these come back as false, we will set has Pokemon to true. And it will only do that if it finds something in that slot. And the reason we're doing this, sorry, is because once we've picked up a Pokemon, we know we have a Pokemon. So we don't need to pick up another starter. So once we find that we have got a Pokemon, we want to break to say, no, stop the check because we don't need to check any further. We know we don't need a Pokemon. But if all of that comes back as false, as true, they're all equal, we'll do something else. So off of our complete down here, we're going to do a branch. Now make sure this has Pokemon goes in the break, not in the execute, because if it goes in the execute, it's going to forever loop and you'll end up with a crash. So make sure it comes off into the break, and then we come off into the completed to check what the result of this was. If we have a Pokemon, we don't want it to do anything. And then if it's false, we want to build our widget that we're going to create in the next episode. So to set all of that up, what we're going to do is we're going to get our player controller. We're going to set mouse cursor, set show mouse cursor, sorry. And we're going to set that to true. And we're then going to set input mode to UI only. That way we don't walk anymore and things like that. And if we just tidy this up a little bit, that should look good. And there's a couple of other things we do need to do though before we move on. Obviously, we need to create a widget, and we also need to add that to the viewport, like so. But there's one other thing we haven't done yet, and we need to expose a Ringmon name. And we're going to set that to a name. I called it Ringmon again. What is wrong with me? Pokemon name. We're going to compile that. We'll get the error from the widget. Don't worry, we'll get rid of that in a moment. We're going to set this to instance editable and expose on spawn. And basically what that does, I'm going to have to fix that error, aren't I? 1 second. Let's fix the error first. Go into the Pokemon starter, just create a user, go to user interface and create a widget. And we'll call this accept Pokemon Wid. And we can literally just set that in here, accept Pokemon Wid, and that will get rid of the error. There we go, fixed. Okay, done. So what this does now, over here, if we click on this, we can give these a name. Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. And what this will do, this will feed through to create our widget so we know which Pokemon we're getting, and obviously we'll be able to select the one we actually want, as opposed to getting a random one or nothing. We should get one that we actually want. So what's next? We want to finish off everything with this starter thing. So there's 2 more things we need to do here before we can move on. And we need to go into the widget for that. So the widget we just created that has nothing in it at the moment, if we open that up, and we'll just, for now, we'll just get a canvas panel. Try that again. Make sure you're in the actual palette canvas panel. There we go. We're going to fill the screen with it, so that's fine. And what we want to do is we need to create some variables that we can also expose on spawn. So if we go over to the graph and we have our lovely variables here, we can create 2 new ones. The first one being Ringmon name. We need to pass that through to the widget. The other one is Ringmon info, which again is going to be, I said Ringmon twice there. That's not, I should pay £1 to charity every time I say bloody Ringmon or something. I don't know. It's going to be Pokemon info again in there. And we're going to change these variables to Pokemon, bloody Pokemon, to make sure they stay as they should. Pokemon. It's got to make sense. Okay, so once we've done that, we would like to create the widget, which we're going to do in the next episode. So you should at this point have your Pokemon party and storage boxes and your trainer info on your 3rd-person character. You should also have all of your starter Pokemon BP set up. The last thing we're going to do is just compile, or maybe we need to compile and save this one first. Or did I not set them to expose? I'm rushing ahead with myself, aren't I? Yes, I didn't do it. Click instance editable and expose on spawn for both of those. and compile and save. Then back in here, we want to refresh the nodes, and you should have those two variables appear now. And what we can do is plug in our Pokemon name and plug in our starter Pokemon information. That will pass through to the widget. And the reason we're doing this is because all the last bits of information, like setting up the base stats, setting up the moves, you know, all of its information, the last pieces of the puzzle will happen over in that widget when we've said yes, not before. So that's why we do that over there. Everything else is done at this point for our starter Pokemon blueprint. And we can comment this off as if we comment this off, make it nice and neat, we can comment this off as accept Ringmon or interact with starter would be better, actually. Interact with starter, because we're going to be picking that. So there's not really much we can do here to test this at this point, because we're going to need some the widget to show some information for us. So you'll just kind of have to trust the method and the madness with this, and in the next episode you'll be able to see the results of all of this happening. Fingers crossed, as long as we've done everything right. So in the next episode we're going to design this accept widget, and hopefully by the end of that you should be able to pick up your first starter, your first Pokemon in your game by the end of this. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Again, as always, to the members for subscribing to me. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And obviously, if you're watching this at a later date, thank you so much just for subscribing to the channel. If you are subscribed, again, it makes a huge difference to the channel. So thank you very, very much for this. And I will see you in the next episode. Much love. Take care. Bye.